It's the bump all the world is watching.
This amazing sort of rock and roll royal couple are going to have a baby. You know, it's understandable, really, that the public want to know everything they can.
And as it's grown, so has the sense of excitement, especially here in the UK.
Harry and Meghan have really captured people's imagination, and it's coming so soon after the royal wedding. People are just very excited for another chapter in this very happy story.
Baby Sussex is due any day, any week now.
Meghan, she's so proud of her bump. She doesn't even button her coat anymore. She's so proud of it, and she walks around like that showing, look at me, I'm going to have a baby.
When baby Sussex arrives, it will all be very modern and announced on Twitter. But there will still be plenty of royal traditions. A 62-gun salute and the birth announcement posted on an easel at Buckingham Palace.
And as we all hold our collective breath, waiting for those shots to be fired,
Leg in the air, higher.
the royal baby industry has gone into hyperdrive.
Can I feel?
Of course.
Oh. Are you ready for birth now with all that yoga? I think so.
Yeah.
We're really excited.
Good evening. It is a boy. The Duchess of Cambridge gave birth to a son.
But being a royal mum isn't an easy gig. For a start, you need to be constantly camera ready. Then there's the juggle between duty and the joy of motherhood.
Diana herself once said that when she gave birth, she felt the whole country was in labour with her.
And finding an impeccably trained ninja nanny can be quite a challenge too.
Some people have made jokes about it, sort of James Bond meets Mary Poppins.
But if there's one thing we've learned watching Meghan and Harry, this couple doesn't mind breaking the rules.
Harry and Meghan will very much carve out their own idea of parenting. Remember that obviously they're going to do it in the modern way. Everybody's just longing to see what their modern way is.
It was a fairy tale, tailor-made for the millennial generation. A beautiful American actress.
Mark.
The thoroughly modern Meghan Markle.
You don't know the half of it.
Boom.
Meets and falls in love with the cheeky, ginger-haired Prince Harry.
It was this beautiful woman just sort of literally tripped and fell into my life. I fell into her life.
Theirs was a whirlwind romance. They were introduced at London's exclusive Soho club. 16 months later, they were engaged.
The fact that I fell in love with Meghan so incredibly quickly was sort of confirmation to me that everything, all the stars were aligned, everything was just perfect.
The example that Meghan and Harry have made by falling in love with one another and not being hindered by anybody's old-fashioned, stuffy, ridiculous, out-of-date ideas that one cannot have a blended family or a mixed-race baby, it is fantastic that that is happening in our monarchy.
The royalite couple got hitched in May 2018, with 2 billion people watching.
To love and to cherish till death us do part.
All that I am, I give to you.
They'd scarcely said I do when speculation about a baby Sussex started.
As soon as they'd taken the confetti out of their hair, the next story in the chapter was, will they, won't they have a baby?
For the next 5 months, all eyes and lenses were trained on Meghan's tummy.
When did you first suspect that she was pregnant? I think when the Duchess of Sussex came to Princess Eugenie's wedding, that reinforced everyone's suspicions because she was wearing this beautiful Givenchy coat, but she'd left it unbuttoned. And you kind of think to yourself, no detail goes amiss with a piece of couture like this. Why has she not done her coat up?
Hello Magazine's royal editor, Emily Nash, was covering the royal tour of Australia when the news broke.
Harry and Meghan landed in Sydney and Meghan was carrying some paperwork across her front, which most people found slightly unusual. It looked like she was just being very businesslike. But then obviously a few hours later, we discovered that actually she was pregnant.
And like the media-savvy couple they are, they announced the news on Twitter. Straight away, the tone of the tour shifted, with every interaction involving children discussed and analysed.
Couldn't think of a better place to announce the upcoming baby, be it a boy or a girl, so thank you very, very much. Everyone give Meghan a group hug.
Harry has been desperate to have kids of his own, desperate. So it's an exciting time for him. And I hope his child is ready for all the kisses and love that Harry's going to bestow on them.
I do know Harry, and I do know how much he adores children. I mean, he was desperate for his own children, his own family. He wanted that so much. And I think he's going to be a fantastic father.
Arthur Edwards has been taking photographs of the royal family for more than 40 years and has developed a close relationship with the Windsor clan, especially Harry.
Seeing him doing walkabouts in Australia and spend time with children, not many royals do that. They take the flowers off the women, but sometimes with children, if they're looking miserable, and he tries to make them smile.
Pregnancy didn't slow Meghan down, and the more she stepped out, the greater the scrutiny and the more plentiful the rumours.
There's been so much speculation that she's having twins. Personally, I feel that it's more to do with her proportions. She's quite petite, so there's not much space for that baby other than out. But I don't think that this idea of twins is correct.
It's all a far cry from the Queen's day as a young wife and mother.
It's easy to see the radiant happiness of the princess as she and her very good-looking husband pose for the cameras in the palace.
Back then, the merest whisper of a royal pregnancy was considered vulgar.
It wasn't felt quite nice, as it were, for a woman to flaunt a visibly pregnant belly, so she tended to retire a little bit.
But by the time Diana arrived on the scene, the world had changed, and the palace changed with it.
By this morning's announcement that your Royal Highnesses are to be blessed with a child.
Didn't this change the way we saw royal mothers? Because we never saw the Queen like this.
No. I mean, that was the thing you loved about Diana. When she smiled, you used to feel like a little sort of clap of thunder in your camera. You knew you had a great picture. Look at that look. I mean, she's a mum and she's lovely. And a great mother she was too.
Arthur Edwards took that iconic image of a very young lady, Diana Spencer, in a see-through skirt. And a few years later, this even more controversial snap of a pregnant Diana in a bikini.
It was quite scandalous.
Scandalous. And I'll tell you what, it's the one regret I have. Charles and Diana were going off to the Bahamas on holiday. And I said to the editor, look, and we were, of course, hidden in the bushes. I got these pictures of Diana pregnant in a bikini on the beach in Eleuthera with the Prince of Wales. They were intrusive pictures. There was a massive row here. I mean, in the House of Commons, there was questions asked. But I probably wouldn't do it again. Not anymore. Well, also, if they did it now, William would sue you.
The Queen was really annoyed and horrified about this. So she called a meeting at Buckingham Palace of all the editors of the national newspapers. And she said, you simply have to leave the Princess of Wales alone. But I don't think they really took any notice.
There was just too much money to be made out of the burgeoning royal industry. This new generation of royal mums-to-be sold newspapers and more, despite their frumpy 80s fashion choices.
I think it's changing times and changing fashion, and being a pregnant woman in this day and age is far more forgiving than back in the 80s, where most people just had to resort to the big old tent dresses, which were incredibly unflattering.
Kate was the first royal to marry pregnancy fashion with style. Hers was an understated elegance. Meghan added a little Hollywood drama.
Look at what Meghan's wearing today. Showing the bump, really skin-tight clothing. But lordy, very, very Eiffel Tower height heels. She looks incredibly elegant, but she probably just wants to take those heels off and put on her flip-flops.
Meghan might be a very modern mother-to-be, but she's married into a family bound by tradition, especially in matters of childbirth. Just 3 generations ago, all royal births had to be witnessed by a government official.
The royal birthing chamber was a very crowded place. I mean, it's appalling to our eyes.
The closer you were to the business end, shall we say, the greater your honour.
This quaint custom was still in place when Queen Elizabeth was born back in 1926 after a 24-hour labour.
The little princess was eventually born by caesarean section. The Home Secretary immediately rang the Mayor of London, and then the news was put out.
By the time Queen Elizabeth gave birth to her first child, Charles, government officials were no longer invited to the event. She did have a home birth, though, in a purpose-built surgery at Buckingham Palace.
After Prince Charles was born, it was something like a month before Cecil Beaton was invited to take official pictures to be released. And because not much had been seen before that, there really were rumours that there was something wrong with the baby.
Everything changed with Diana. In 1982, she made the daring decision to give birth to Prince William at the Lindo wing of St Mary's in Paddington.
Can you be very kind and somehow ask them not to make too much noise? Some sleep is badly needed.
It was the first time an heir to the throne had been born in a hospital.
Prince William was apparently induced. She says later, so it fitted in with Prince Charles's polo match. But I think really she couldn't take any more, and doctors will take a decision to induce a child if they think that the mother is fraught and suffering.
A very proud mum there. Is this
so
the
young
Lindo
looking.
wing?
Yeah, Lindo wing. Look how young she looks, She's such a young girl, just 21, I think.
Photographer Arthur Edwards hasn't missed a royal birth since Diana shyly emerged from St Mary's with Charles and the young Prince William.
It was very different to what it is today. If you were photographing a royal birth leaving the hospital, it was all new. And they posed for a little while, and then they got into a car and off they went. And we thought that was fabulous. No one had covered the royals like this before. I was the first person to start doing it, and it became an industry in the end.
Does it feel more staged, managed?
It is today, yeah. It's very much stage managed, and it has to be, really.
William and Kate kept the tradition going. The Duchess of Cambridge had all 3 of her children, George, Charlotte and Louis, at St Mary's.
She's always been flawless, almost too perfect. And I don't think anything more could demonstrate that perfection than when she's emerged 3 times with her 3 children.
These are those famous steps we've seen after each royal birth. You can't help but think of Diana and Kate walking outside just days, sometimes even hours after giving birth, holding their newborn and trying to look fresh-faced for the world's press.
Kate did have an army. Well, not an army, just a little troop of hairstylists, makeup artists, because obviously she wanted to look her best. In fact, some mothers complained, she's setting too high a standard for motherhood, because she turns up on the steps of a hospital hours after giving birth looking like a movie star. So this is putting pressure on us.
No doubt Meghan will make her own rules when it comes time to introduce baby Sussex to the world.
Part of me would love to see her in some sweatpants with her hair scraped back and just obviously looking beautiful as always and say, look, here we go, guys. And off they go.
Can't imagine Meghan in sweatpants anyway.
No, I think, you know, but it would be doing something for the sisterhood perhaps to just say, look, you don't have to do this. You don't have to have every hair in place.
Certainly, yoga-loving Californian Meghan is not your run-of-the-mill royal. And the birth plan she's worked out with Harry will be a little different to that of her more conservative predecessors.
I'd be amazed if Harry wasn't helping out in some way. We know that he meditates every day, and I would be amazed if they are not practicing some hypnobirthing, so getting into this state of deep relaxation, which can help, you know, with the birth in whichever way it turns out, just to keep the mother in particular calm.
And there might be speculation that she'll give birth up a tree, you know, reared by... I mean, some crazy stuff comes out. The reality is they will be surrounded by some expert attention. They will be as well looked after as you could possibly dream, and they will do it their way.
That's it. So be a bit more yoga-esque, I think. Stretch it out. Put your head back. Great belly.
The belly's good.
The endless speculation about the royal birth has led to some creative and rather cheeky interpretations of Meghan and Harry's unconventional approach to parenthood.
I'm trying to get that view. I sort of depict the secret private moments that we've all been dying to see, but we haven't actually had a chance to see before.
Photographer Alison Jackson uses lookalikes to create her royal family happy snaps. Her Meghan and Harry series is especially popular.
What do you think the royals would think of these photos?
Well, I think the royals would probably find my photographs very funny. They've got a great sense of humour. Sway back a bit so I can see Harry, so I can see the names.
Was the Meghan and Kate catfight an obvious one?
Well, in the press at the moment, there are all the stories about how Meghan and Kate aren't getting on and a power thing and, you know, some kind of squabble. So it was natural to think that they would be in some kind of catfight scrape. So I depicted Meghan pulling Kate's hair and who was going to win. Struggle, Kate. Chin out. Chin out. Let's see your face, Meghan. Going too fast. Go on, kick her.
Have you ever got into trouble with any of your photos?
Well, Diana, Dodie and their mixed-race child caused a lot of trouble and a big fury at the time. Britain was a very prejudiced place at that time, and the idea of a mixed-race child close to Prince William was near on abhorrent, and so it was like a scandal, which is very different from now, 20 years on, because we're all celebrating the wonderful news that Harry is going to have a mixed-race child with Meghan. So it's a wonderful new beginning for Britain.
What do you think, boy or girl?
I think girl.
I think boy. Oh, gee. Both one side of the fence. Soon, no. Okay, so good luck. Is it going to be a beautiful, calm, relaxing, yoga-inspired birth? We hope so.
I think she's going to have a water birth, the latest lunar zone.
How does that sit with you?
Fine.
Just get it out, hey?
Yes, get it out. Yeah, just get it out.
Have you begun casting for the new baby?
I've been casting for a Harry Meghan baby for a long time, and I think it's going to be a mixed race look, but with ginger hair, a lot of, you know, crazy ginger hair.
Harry and Meghan have shown they're not afraid to turn royal convention on its head.
Granny was christened in this, and I was. Looks remarkably well despite it.
One question is, will the christening be a grand family occasion like that of Harry himself?
After the service, the Queen talked to Princess Anne's children about a new puppy.
It's called Dash. Dash. Zara.
Prince Harry was christened at St George's Chapel in Windsor, the same place where he and Meghan married. Maybe there's a godparent amongst those A-list wedding guests.
The Beckhams, who knows? I mean, why not? Meghan's background being as it is, she is close friends with some very famous people. So I think it'll be very, very interesting to see their choice of godparents.
Meghan is expected to take around 6 months maternity leave. Harry will have paternity leave as well. Then it's straight back to work, just like the Queen 70 years before them.
Hats off to the Queen, because she was doing the working motherhood thing in a very extreme way long before most of us were. And you can only imagine how tough that would have been for her.
We sort of forget that, don't you? The working mother, working parents, both of them.
Yeah.
And that's where the royal nanny comes in. The Queen was incredibly attached to her nanny, Bobo.
The royal nanny is so important to the royal child, and many royal children, they are utterly devoted to their nannies and never forget them. The Queen's nanny, Bobo, she was always by her side. She was devoted to the Queen.
Literally the night before the wedding, before she was about to marry this handsome prince, the Queen had loyal Bobo sleeping next door to her. So in a way, she went straight from the nursery to the marital bed.
And when the Queen became a mother herself, she immediately summoned the reinforcements to help raise the heir to the throne.
Charles had parent substitute all his life, and Diana said that she was never going to bring up her children in the way that he'd been brought up, which was to be so emotionally distant from your parents.
Diana preferred a more hands-on relationship with her boys, but as a working royal, she did need some hired help.
Diana said she wanted a far more modern nanny, but of course that it didn't really work because Diana actually wanted the children all to herself. She had a wonderful nanny called Barbara Barnes, and Diana became jealous and would pick on Barbara, and it just became untenable. So in the end, Barbara had to leave. The Queen was quite shocked at how wild William and Harry were.
They were little monkeys. So Diana is having a lot of trouble making them do what she wanted them to do.
Diana did say that at Fergie's wedding, when William was a page, she thought she might have to put a line of Smarties along the aisle so that Prince William would keep his eyes straight in front. In the end, he did behave.
What sort of mother do you think Diana was?
Diana was an incredibly warm mother, very fun-loving. All the images we have of her with her boys show this fantastic bond, and they seem to be laughing in so many of these pictures. It's so lovely to see her just revelling in her role as a mother, and I think that we've seen that replicated in Kate, in the way that she plays with her children, whether they're rolling down the banks at the side of a polo field or, going down a slide together. There seems to be this just natural joy.
When Kate needed a nanny to help care for her growing brood, there was only one place to turn.
This is Norland College, tucked away in beautiful Bath, and it's where royalty and the super rich get their nannies from. It's a 4-year diploma, and they learn everything from martial arts to throwing the perfect teddy bear's picnic and even pushing a pram, which is harder than it looks.
Norland College has been around for 127 years. So what we try to do at Norland is to retain some of the core values and some of those traditional skills that are still necessary and needed in the modern world, but at the same time try to make sure that we keep abreast with current developments, the brave new world that we're in, 21st century technology and so on.
Of course, at Norland, the focus continues to be on the traditional staples like cooking, sewing.
Because you could just whip it on by hand, but then it's got to be really strong for children to play with, so it might be worth just doing that, then you haven't got to worry about.
And child development.
The purpose of play is to think about how children are developing their gross motor skills.
But the trainee nannies are also instructed in more dynamic skills.
God, you're so good, look at you.
Like defensive driving,
We do skid pan driving to be able to handle a car in a situation where you've got your charge in the back and you need to make sure it's as safe as possible for the children.
And martial arts.
Go! Some of the more recent additions to the programme, more cutting edge, that fit more with the sort of 21st century, include the security and cyber security training with our former military intelligence officers, for example. No. So some people have made jokes about it, sort of James Bond meets Mary Poppins, and so on. But of course, we're not trying to turn our graduates into bodyguards. But at the same time, we want, in many respects, we want our nannies to be as fun and loving as Mary Poppins was.
I know.
Meghan and Harry like to test tradition. So who knows? They might choose a Mr. Poppins to tend to baby Sussex.
What attracted you to becoming a nanny?
Just the course was just amazing, and the way they teach you how to look after children is top notch. But more importantly, you get to travel the world.
Have you always wanted to do this?
Not always. I wanted to join the military, which is very different to a nanny, some would argue. But I mean, it's both come with their routines and their challenges.
Well, there's lots of cliches that would be similar, the combats and war zones and all of those similarities.
Very funny. Uphill battle, I think the words are used. So.
You know you're rocking, don't you?
I do, yes. It's just very instinctive at this point. It's like, yes, that's very natural, it's great.
Have Harry and Meghan contacted the agency yet?
So, unfortunately, I'm not able to comment at all about any clients. We do pride ourselves on being very discreet.
Speculation is that they won't have a nanny, they'll be hands-on parents. Well, I can't wait to see, with Harry at 2 o'clock in the morning. I think he'll get a nanny.
I think my baby's asleep. Yours asleep? I think so. I swear.
After all the excitement of the royal birth, baby Sussex will be whisked away to the English countryside to be brought up here in the quaint little village of Windsor. Behind those walls is Frogmore Cottage. Harry and Meghan are racing to get all the renovations done in time. But you can see why they've decided to settle out here. Cute little streets to push the pram around, and best of all, the great-grandparents right next door in Windsor Castle, in case they need a spot of babysitting.
The move to Frogmore will give them much more time to just be the family unit, away from prying eyes. Much as Kensington Palace is a wonderful place, they're part of a big community there. They know that on the other side of those walls, there's the whole of London. At Frogmore, they have a lot more space to breathe. And of course, they're in the middle of Windsor Great Park, so there's plenty of open countryside and freedom for a child.
Yeah, you make it sound as though it's
a no-brainer.
There have been rumours that the move to Windsor is because of a rift between Kate and Meghan.
Is the rivalry real?
I think the rivalry story has been wildly overplayed. I think that there may have been some differences of opinion in the past, but Kate has talked about how exciting it is that there's going to be a new baby in the family and a cousin for her children. I'm sure, there are going to be lots of happy family moments in the future for all of them.
Meghan and Harry won't be spending too much time here at Windsor. Like everyone else in the firm, they're expected to muck in. And that will mean endless touring to show off baby Sussex. But once upon a time, the royal tour was considered no place for children.
There's no doubt parenting has changed enormously. If you think about when the Queen gave birth, she had her first 2 children before becoming Queen. Then she was immediately off touring. She famously went on the Commonwealth tour, didn't see Charles or Anne for about 6 months. It's inconceivable now that modern royal parents would do that. She was doing her duty, and as Queen, she didn't really have much choice. But the younger generation has a lot more flexibility, and they are able to, work around parenthood.
Diana was the first royal to tour with an heir to the throne. 9-month-old Prince William made his first international appearance in Australia in 1983. Photographer Arthur Edwards was there.
Diana said, he goes or I don't go. I mean, that was pretty much an ultimatum to the palace. As they got off the plane at Alice Springs, Nanny brought William down from the plane and we all photographing him like mad. And then, of course, Diana and Charles held him. I got a really nice picture.
So it's almost like Charles and Diana ushered in a new way of royal parenting, didn't they?
I think it was Diana that did it. I think Charles may have done that without William. When Kate and William went for the first time, they took George. He was big star of Australia. When we went to Canada, they took the 2 children. It was tremendous. Paparazzi no longer stalk the children, you know, they're no longer following them around when they go for their walks in the park and things like that. It's all finished, that's over now.
Every time the royal children step out, they make a fashion statement, just like their mum, Kate. And there's no doubt that baby Sussex will become a style icon too.
There's been a huge boost to the British economy for all 3 of the past royal babies, and this will be no different. This is going to have more of a global impact, I would imagine, because the Duchess is American.
Right now, Princess Charlotte is the royals' star performer. She's worth about $200 million to the UK economy, with fans snapping up everything from what she wears to what she plays with. Prince George and Prince Louis are generating about $150 million each.
This is where all those beautiful dresses come from.
That's right.
Gorgeous. So this is where the royals' baby shop.
This is where a lot of George and Charlotte's clothes have come from. Pepper & Co, it's a fantastic brand, and we've seen a lot of these items gracing the royal children.
Wow. So this area here does look like Prince George.
This is very, very Prince George. This in particular, you can imagine him wearing. It's very traditional as well, which is something that Kate seems to favour for the children in particular.
The clothes are reminiscent of the 40s and 50s, an old-fashioned look that Charlotte has made popular again.
This dress.
The floral hand smock dress is kind of a staple for her. We've seen her wearing variations on this, quite often blue as well, which is quite nice. Not too much pink, girly stuff. Yellow cardigan as well, you can imagine seeing her in. They do seem to favour these lovely hand-knitted items.
So the moment Princess Charlotte wears any of these, how quickly do they sell out?
Within hours. Things disappear from websites and stock is gone. Everyone wants to dress their daughter like a princess too.
And it's not just in the UK, it's worldwide, isn't it?
It is worldwide. There's huge interest from overseas, from the US in particular, but also Australia.
There's a new generation of princes and princesses, and Kate and William are the poster couple for modern royal parenting.
From observing William and Kate and their brood, what sort of parents are they?
Well, you know, he never stops talking about them. You know, it's George, he said, you know, and you know, Charlotte, she's got me wrapped around her little finger. You know, and he's always, you know, he's so proud of them, and he tries to make a point of getting back home in the evenings to sort of see them off to bed and read them stories.
Yeah, got a good one there.
And of course, you know, Charlotte, I mean, she is a little treasure. I remember when we were in Hamburg and we were getting the plane and George was up in this helicopter and she wanted to go and Mother said no. She just threw herself on the floor, remember it? Like she just, in tantrum, you know. It's 30 metre, all on long lenses going like this. Kate just scuffed her up, you know, and did no nonsense and get on with it. And then she sort of tiptoeing along. It was funny.
William and Harry will always be influenced by their mother. Her desire to try and give them a taste of real life, normality, runs through the veins of William and Harry.
But as a child, Harry also witnessed how the media hounded his mother. And that's made him especially wary of the press.
With Meghan, I think we're seeing a Prince Harry that is viciously protective, understandably so, but viciously reactive to criticisms of her. Harry, the dad, my goodness, again, multiply that. And I hope for his sake that he's able to kind of just take a step back. Don't take this all to heart.
Harry could take a leaf out of Grandma's book. At nearly 93 years of age, the Queen has handled all the public ups and downs of her big family with great dignity. a family that now includes 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and now her 8th great-grandchild, who is due any day.
I think the Queen is incredibly proud of her grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, and in fact, she's invested in what they're doing. She's very proud, but so is Prince Charles. I mean, he doesn't always get the plaudits he deserves for being a proud grandfather, but he, has built things in his garden at Highgrove for the children to play in. There's the tree house that was William and Harry's when they were children. He's very excited about becoming a grandfather again. And we saw in those beautiful photographs from his 70th birthday how much of a connection he has with them.
Meghan has that connection with her mother, Doria, but is estranged from her father, Thomas, and her half-brother and sister. They won't be part of the birth celebrations.
The saddest thing about it all is that the Meghan's family are not going to enjoy this event. Apparently the father learned of it from a magazine or that she was having a baby. And so there's obviously a big friction there. They're going to miss a great event. I wish that schism could heal, because, a new baby and a family. I mean, Granddad, he would be so excited to be there to see that. I think this baby could sort of maybe heal the family.
And then we all can't wait to see who the baby looks like.
I think people are so excited. There's no doubt this baby's going to be incredibly cute. I mean, such good-looking parents, and the cheeky grin from Harry, it's going to be a showstopper. Can you call a baby a showstopper? That's a bit weird, isn't it?
I think this one will be a showstopper.